Hello, listeners. Today I will read episode 1.29 from Article 371 to 379. Article 371. Establishment of Community Protected Areas. 1. The ministry responsible for environment and natural sources shall have the authority to establish community protected areas in sustainable use zones under the administrative management of subnational administration. 2. Subnational administration may initiate, coordinate, support, give permission principles, and recognize the establishment of community protected areas after receiving approval from the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources. 3. Subnational administrations shall study the possibility of designating community protected areas and determining specific appropriate locations and sizes in consultation and coordination with local communities and relevant stakeholders. 4. Community protective areas communities shall enter into an agreement with subnational administration, in which the agreement's validity shall not exceed 25 years. 5. If community protected area communities do not comply with the agreement and management plan of the community protected area, subnational administrations shall have the right to suspend the operation of community protected areas to review and reassess. 6. Subnational administrations shall have the right to revoke the community protected area agreement after receiving approval from the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources in cases the communities do not comply with the agreement and management plan of the community protected area. 7. When it is found that community protected area communities do not adequately comply with the agreement, the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources shall have the right to order subnational administration to revoke the agreement. 8. Rules for establishing and managing community protected areas shall be determined in a subdecree. 9. Guidelines for procedures and processes to designate community protected areas shall be determined in a procas of the minister responsible for environment and natural resources. Article 372. Prohibited activities for community protected areas. 1. Community protected area communities and/or their members shall not have the right to cut, excavate, or clear the forest lands in the community protective area and convert them to agricultural land or privately owned, sell, change, rent, pawn, give, exchange labor, allocate, trade, or transfer the community protected area's management zones. 2. Provision of additional cultivating land to local communities shall be determined in a subdecree upon proposal by the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources in consultation with subnational administration or upon proposal by subnational administration to the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources. Article 373. Participation in organizing community protected areas. Generous individuals, private sector, and civil society shall be encouraged to participate, support, and coordinate in the organization and operation of community protected areas. Article 374. Community protected area planning. Community protected area communities shall develop a natural resource management plan, recognized by subnational administration. This plan should be reviewed every 3 years or before, if necessary. The natural resource management plan of community protected area communities should be integrated with the subnational administration's plan. Chapter 7. Education, dissemination, restoration, and improvement of natural protected areas. Article 375. Participation in the protection, conservation, and restoration of natural resources. Citizens, Buddhist monks, students, civil servants, armed forces, publicly elected citizens, and others shall have duties to participate, protect, conserve, and restore natural resources in natural protected areas. Article 376. Education and dissemination programs. 1. The ministry responsible for environment and natural resources and subnational administration shall comprehensively develop all formats of education and dissemination programs on natural resources protection and conservation, restoration, and improvement of biodiversity resources and degraded and lost ecosystems. 2. Annually on National Environment Day, World Environment Day, and International Convention Days, the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources and subnational administrations shall organize biodiversity and ecosystem restoration activities in natural protected areas to educate and disseminate to the public about the value of natural protected areas, and to promote participation in natural resources protection and conservation. 3. The National Environment Day and World Environment Day shall be annually organized. On June 5th, to be presided over by His Majesty King of the Kingdoms of Cambodia or the Royal Representatives with participation from the Senate, National Assembly, Royal Government, embassies, national and subnational civil servants, Buddhist monks, development partners, and the public. Being highly presided over by His Majesty King is to express attention to environmental protection, conservation of natural resources and biodiversity, sustainable development, tree planting, releasing national fish and wild animals, and other royal activities that provide the best multiple interests for humans and planets. Article 377. Environmental improvement in natural protected areas. The ministry responsible for environment and natural resources and subnational administrations shall restore and improve the environment in degraded areas of natural protected areas in collaboration with local communities, natural protected area communities, generous people, private sectors, and civil societies. Chapter 8. Permission and Prohibition. Article 378. Permitted activities and projects. 1. The ministry responsible for environment and natural resources shall have the right to issue permits, enter into agreement or contract in natural resource conservation and management, targets in natural protected areas in consultation with relevant ministries or institutions, subnational administrations, and stakeholders on the following activities or projects. A. Conservation cooperation projects. B. Ecotourist development projects. Seat hunting games. D. Farming permitted wildlife in Category 1. E. Study visits on national protected areas management. F. Other activities or projects determined in APRACAs by the minister responsible for environment and natural resources. 2. Subnational administrations shall have the right to issue permits or enter into agreements or contracts for activities or projects above by requesting prior approval from the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources. 3. The procedures to apply for and format of permits, agreements, or contracts for activities or projects above shall be determined by APRACAs of the minister responsible for environment and natural resources. Article 379. Public or private projects. 1. The development of all construction and public infrastructure projects in the natural protected areas shall be subject to prior consultation with the ministry responsible for environmental and natural resources and subnational administrations. 2. All private construction or building projects in the natural protected areas shall receive a prior permit from the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources or subnational administrations. Thank you for listening and join our reading. See you soon in episode 1.30.